Before there were alphabets, before there were empires, before ink touched parchment, there were numbers. They measured the stars. They counted the days. They marked the rhythm of time itself. But in the Bible, numbers do something more. They speak. They whisper through genealogies. They echo through prophecy. They structure visions. They frame judgment and mercy. From Genesis to Revelation, numbers appear with deliberate repetition. 7, 12, 40, 70, 3, 10, 6, 144,000. Are they symbolic? Are they structural? Are they theological architecture? Or are they something deeper? Tonight, we step into one of the most fascinating dimensions of biblical study, the possibility that numbers form a hidden layer of meaning, a sacred numerical grammar woven into Scripture, not superstition, not speculative fantasy, but structured symbolic communication. To understand biblical numbers, we must think as the ancient Hebrews thought. In Hebrew, letters are numbers. Words have numerical weight. Meaning is layered. In that world, mathematics and theology are not separate disciplines. They are intertwined. This is not about fortune-telling. It is not modern numerology. It is the symbolic logic of an ancient worldview. A worldview in which numbers carry theological density. If Scripture is a text, then numbers are part of its syntax, and perhaps, just perhaps, they form a language. If one number dominates the Bible more than any other, it is 7. 7 feasts of Israel, 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 bowls of judgment. 7. In Hebrew thought, 7 represents completeness, fullness, covenant fulfillment. The Hebrew word for 7, sheva, shares a root with the word for oath, shava. To swear an oath is literally to seven oneself. This is not coincidence. It suggests that 7 is not merely arithmetic. It is covenantal completion. Creation unfolds in 7 days, structured deliberately. Day 1, light. Day 2, firmament. Day 3, land and vegetation. Day 4, lights in the heavens. Day 5, birds and sea creatures. Day 6, animals and humanity. Day 7, rest, but notice the pattern. The first 3 days create realms. The next 3 fill those realms. Day 7 crowns it all. This is literary symmetry, structured completeness. The 7th day is sanctified, set apart. Time itself becomes holy. 7 marks divine order. Now move forward to Joshua and Jericho. 7 priests, 7 trumpets, 7 days of marching. 7 circuits on the 7th day. The walls fall. 7 signals covenant judgment fulfilled. In Leviticus, the sabbatical cycle operates in 7s. 6 years you sow. The 7th year, the land rests. 7 cycles of 7 years, 49 years, then the 50th year. Jubilee, restoration, release, reset. 7 multiplied intensifies covenant meaning. Then revelation, 7 churches, 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 bowls. Judgment unfolds in 7s. Completion of divine justice. 7 structures the apocalypse. It frames divine sovereignty over history. 7 is not random repetition. It is narrative architecture. It signals to the reader, this is total. This is complete. This is divinely finished. 3 appears constantly in Scripture. 3 patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. 3 pilgrimage feasts. 3 days of preparation at Sinai. Jonah 3 days in the fish. Jesus 3 days in the tomb. 3 often signifies confirmation, stability, divine completeness in miniature. In Hebrew legal tradition, a matter is established by 2 or 3 witnesses. 3 confirms truth. In Christian theology, 3 becomes central: Father, Son, Spirit. Triune structure. But even before formal doctrine, Scripture uses triadic rhythm. but 3 times repetition intensifies holiness. 3 expresses fullness. When Abraham lifts his eyes in Genesis 18, he sees 3 visitors. When Isaiah encounters the throne room, seraphim declare holiness thrice. When Peter denies Jesus, he does so 3 times, and restoration comes 3 times. 3 reflects pattern completion: beginning, middle, end, birth, life, death, past, present. Future. 3 anchors narrative resolution. 40 signals trial: life, death, past, present. Future. 3 anchors narrative resolution. 40 signals trial: the flood reigns 40 days and nights. Moses spends 40 days on Sinai. Israel wanders 40 years in the wilderness. Elijah journeys 40 days to Horeb. Jesus fasts 40 days in the wilderness. 40 marks transition. It is the number of preparation through difficulty. It suggests probation, purification, formation. Israel's 40 years were not random punishment. They were identity construction. A slave people becoming a covenant nation. 40 is gestational. A period long enough to reshape character, long enough to dismantle old patterns, short enough to remain purposeful. When Jesus emerges from 40 days in the wilderness, his ministry begins. Trial precedes mission. 40 marks the threshold. 12 appears wherever structure meets authority. 12 tribes of Israel. 12 apostles. 12 stones on the high priest's breastplate. 12 gates of the New Jerusalem. 12 foundations. 12 times 12,000 sealed. 144,000, 12 squared. Amplified governance. 12 reflects organized covenant community. 3 multiplied by 4. Divine government over creation. When Judas falls, the apostles must restore the number to 12. Without 12, governance is fractured. 6 is the number of humanity. Man created on the 6th day, incomplete compared to 7. Revelation introduces 666. 6 falls short. Threefold 6. Heightened human self-exaltation. Imitation of divine fullness. Where 7 is covenant perfection, 666 is counterfeit completeness. Not random horror imagery. Theological contrast. Humanity elevating itself to divine status, falling short repeatedly. 6, 6, 6. Echoing insufficiency. 10 commandments. 10 plagues. 10 generations from Adam to Noah. 10 represents completeness of order and responsibility. It marks structured moral framework. In parables, Jesus uses 10 virgins, 10 talents. 10 signals accountability, measured expectation. Genesis 10 lists 70 nations. 70 elders assist Moses. 70 years of exile. 70 weeks in Daniel. 70 signals totality in relation to peoples and history. When Jesus sends out 70 disciples, the symbolism is clear. Mission to the nations. Completion of outreach. In Hebrew, letters carry numerical value. Aleph equals 1. The divine name YHWH totals 26. This shaped interpretive traditions. Some Jewish interpreters observed patterns linking key theological words numerically. This method, gematria, was never meant for superstition. It was literary meditation, a way of exploring textual depth. For example, the word for life and certain covenantal phrases share numerical relationships. These patterns reinforced thematic connections. But caution is required. Not every numerical coincidence implies divine encoding. Ancient readers used gematria sparingly and reverently. Revelation intensifies symbolic mathematics. 144,000. 12x12 by 1,000. Covenant fullness magnified. 1,000 often signals vastness. Not literal arithmetic census necessarily. Symbolic completeness of God's people. Time periods. 1,260 days, 42 months, time, times, half a time, 3.5. Half of 7, incomplete tribulation, broken oppression. Judgment cut short, even chaos is limited. Numbers reassure the faithful. History is measured, suffering is bounded. Evil has an expiration date. What have we seen? 7. Covenant completion. 3. Divine fullness. 40. Transformation. 12. Governance. 6. Human limitation. 10. Moral structure. 70. Historical totality. These are not secret codes predicting lottery numbers. They are theological signals. They function like musical motifs in a symphony, recurring themes. When heard repeatedly, they shape perception. The biblical authors wrote in patterns. They structured narratives numerically. They embedded symbolism intentionally. But we must resist excess. Numbers illuminate. They do not override context. They deepen meaning. They do not replace it. Perhaps the true secret language of God is not arithmetic, but order, pattern, measured design. From the 7-day creation to the 12-gated city of Revelation, Scripture presents a universe not chaotic, but structured, not measured, governed, counted. If numbers speak in the Bible, they speak this. History is not random. Judgment is not arbitrary. Redemption is not accidental. Everything is counted, even the hairs on your head. And perhaps that is the greatest numerical mystery of all. In the end, the language of God may not be hidden. It may simply require attentive reading. Because when Scripture counts, it counts with purpose.